Today we'll be talking about living wills and doing under the Kuwaiti laws. Everything, as you know, in our life needs a plan. We do plan for every step, every movement we'll be doing in our phase of our life. But the unpredicted event that we never plan for is what will happen out the past after our death of our assets and belongs to plan for it. We never draw a specific plan for that. We'll be talking today about an introduction about the will, the default principle for the wills, and the will drafting and notarization here in Kuwait, types of will and order of precedence, under updating and revocation of the will, and foreign drafting of a will, if you will draft it outside Kuwait, and how to get recognized inside Kuwait. I think most of us here know that we are in Islamic country where the Sharia law is a main source of legislation here in Kuwait, where all the plan or status of the Sharia planned for the person or the civil status has been adopted into the civil status law inside Kuwait, and the regulation regarding marriage, divorce, and inheritance. For the grace of God, is the inheritance were detailed into a specific share, which called to the mandatory legitimate heirs of the person. So the specific shares were planned and into the reverse of the Surah An-Nisa to honor the women in the Quran, giving her the care that due for her, giving the responsibility for men over the women to how to take care, giving, it's not a matter of inequality, giving the percentage higher for men or than a woman. It's like for a matter of giving more responsibility of a woman. And we have had a detailed plan how it will be distributed, the inheritance in our after passing away, after the mourning event, and the ongoing of your assets to the legitimate heir. But unfortunately, we all know, however, in Sharia, that it may not inherit from a Muslim, and a non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim, even a partner, spouse. If you convert to Islam and the other partner did not, here the inheritation, and all scholars have agreed it cannot be transmitted through normal inheritation as per Islamic and Sharia law rules. As per solution for this, we have whether a life solution or living after us solution, which is the will, or a life solution through gift contract or donations that the person in his whole conscious and willingness through during his life transmit some of his assets to a certain person by dedication. And the will here in Kuwait and under the Sharia regulation is limited to a certain percentage of the total remaining estate valuation or value. After the calculation, when somebody dies, we don't straightforward distribute on the hearse. We should remove some of his dues, which is clearance of any debits on him, whether written or non-written, clearance of his wife due, for example, for mahr. There is some related to Islamic perspective. It's like the mahr, or there is some related to kafara or whatsoever, like on his, to clear all his debits before we start the calculation of the remaining estates. The will can allocate only 1/3 of the remaining value of the states to the beneficiary or the nominated person designated by the person in this will. Taking into consideration also, here in Kuwait, as we all know, that proprietorship is only allowed for Kuwaiti, for houses, for lands, it's only for Kuwaiti. So we are here talking about liquidated assets or like money-wise assets or investment, part of investment, but cannot be fulfilled under proprietorship, because the proprietorship as per law is only reserved for Kuwaiti nationals. So here we can if there is so we have certain limits to transfer, whether it being Muslim or non-Muslim, believers or not, and being Kuwaiti or not for the other partner under the Kuwaiti law. But all foreigners under the Kuwaiti law can draft their wills. And depends on the religion, the country where they come from, it may differ from a person to another on the applicable law and the acceptance of what states in it. Because when it comes to Muslim, we have the mandatory inheritance shares that needs to be protected, respected by Islam. So Islam reserved the will of a person to 1/3 of his the total calculation of the remaining state after the clearance of all the debts on his state, after the clearance all his debts and dues. Okay, so and then comes the will. The will is 1/3, can be dedicated whether to a Muslim or non-Muslim, can be written into a way that respect the Sharia perspective, where, for example, we started with the principle he want to transfer and to stay connected into, for مثلا, is legitimate heir, and then stating the part that will be according to them as legitimate or official mandatory heirs, and then stating the 1/3 or less than 1/3, how it will be the ongoing of this, the nominated person beneficiary of this, or can be also for charity purpose. Building a mosque, specific institutions that he specified or non-specified, can be also dedicated for Salat al-Rahim, it's like for family support, for like in need persons, or like a special salary that he's dedicating a monthly cut for someone of his choice. So it's a total act of free will, and the person needs to be conscious, not into like a death illness or something, and not aware, can identify the person he's nominating or dedicating this portion to him. And in that time, it will be enforced and by law. But it will be to be validated. It should be, the bequest should be validated also by two ways to validate the bequest. Is the first, this dedication or the will bequest, it should be approved by the beneficiary person before its execution. He has like 30 days when the executor name him and call him, telling him there's this part is dedicated for you. He has a 30 days to accept this will. Otherwise, it will be void, and this part of the state will be redirected to the official heirs, mandatory heirs, the spouses, the siblings, the parents. And also, we have it can be this if someone here decided as a Muslim to dedicate or to make a will of 1/3 to a non-Muslim person. Can it be contested in court here in Kuwait? Yes. The bad news is yes, because it's like it may be a way to like overcome, be considered, it's a way like to overcome the Sharia regulation or the statement of the Sharia of non-inheritance of the non-Muslim from Muslim. So it may be contested under this base. Like a way to overpass the regulation is to, so basically it's, we in this case, we do prefer other in foreign wills make outside the country under other regulations that will be apostle recognized all along to Kuwait, or getting the approval or pre-approval of the legitimate heirs about this donation, not to face a problem later on, to avoid such problem later on. It needs to be to have a legitimate evidence on its existence, legality and fulfillment of the Sharia principle, as we have developed before. And what happens if someone got into the will and exceeded the limit of the 1/3? The amount of money he delegated after the calculation of the total estate, it's been here, there is a surplus. There is a surplus amount that overpassed the limit. This surplus cannot be approved unless it's cannot be executed or approved unless it's approved by the legitimate heirs. They should approve it, and the part of them they don't approve, it's not applicable against them. It will be only applicable and deducted from the shares of the heirs that will accept this surplus. Okay. We have in wills here in Kuwait, we have, or generally in under Islamic Sharia, we have a type of will that even it's an act of person intention or free will, there's an obligatory will. When it's obligatory will, it's a type of bylaw will that the Sharia has directed to the protection of right of the person or the descendant of the died child of the person who died away, his dead child during his life. When I have a son and he's dead during my life, his descendant, this is the obligatory will dedicated for the protection of these descendants. And it's also limited to 1/3, but this is obligatory. Even the person did not draft or do this will during his life, he not make it, it will be automatically made for the descendant, unless during his life, he already, without consideration, give a portion or a donation covering the rights of his dead child to his descendant during his life, by donation, by gift, by whatever. If there is any proof, in that case, there is no obligatory will. It's and in case also of the surplus for this obligatory will, if it's over the amount of 1/3, it will be redirected to the 1/3, to the limit of 1/3, unless it's approved by legitimate heirs as well. Or if it's less, even during his life, imagine he make a donation for this descendant child, he make a donation of certain amount, but said that this amount is less than the 1/3 obligatory. So we'll be calculating pro rata this missing amount or the surplus to attain this 1/3 of the total value of the remaining state of that person. So we'll go back to that limit is obligatory. It should be attained, should be respected, and all laws in the Islamic world should abide to this. And to know the obligatory world will hold a precedence, order of precedence. It come over all other type of wills. Yani this have it comes first. Yani it can come before any intention or optional wills written by the person, and remain that the state subsequently distributed among the legal heirs. And optional will, we have the optional will that we talked before. This is for the free will dedicated to a certain person, the nominated person, beneficiary, and enforced by law, and limited to one certain total value, and remaining one state of the remaining one state, and should not be respected, and should be in respect, and should comply with the Sharia principle. This is the optional will. So we have two types, which is obligatory and optional. So we come here to will drafting and notarization. The Sharia and the civil status law in Kuwait admitted no specific dictations. There's no specific writing dictated to make the will. In making it can be your own free will, your own free dictation. Can be whether there is three admitted way, verbal, or written, or by a sign. If the person cannot talk, by an understand clear sign. It can be admitted, but should be be a testimony over this. There should be a testimony over this for two male person that can testify this was a correct and happened in this situation that did by that person, specifying the nominated person and allocating certain amount. It can be verbal or in writing or by any sign, and should accurately designate the beneficiary person. Content shall also contain it should be identified. The asset should be clear and clarified in this will. We cannot make a will for unknown assets or unknown amount. It should be including assets, bank investment, bank account, amount of money, portion of investment, percentage. Should be identify. We can identify something material here. Language, it can be by your own language. It's admitted here by courts of Kuwait to be into your own language, mother tongue, and to be officially translated by certified translation along to the court, and then get notarized, reviewed by the court. Normally here it's like you can do it whether in the court completion. Here we have the Ahmadi, we have the Rigai one, and the one in Kuwait City, where they have the family notarization authority, where you can go to the ministry and to be stamped with the Ministry of Justice stamp. It can be done by the person, no need to specific assistance, or maybe when you go there, because I didn't personally do, they will have their own format they can use. They can help you on the drafting. It takes like 20 minutes, but you need to have your will draft. You need to be present. You need to have your civil ID, the civil ID of the person, or the passport, whatever identification of the person, the nominee, and the executor. Okay, the one who will be responsible for execution after your death of this will, and the two attesting this, the two person or two male person, or one male person and two female, to make the attestation there in the court. So this is a requirement. No specific requirement for that, but for sure, it's like for the calculation, maybe we'll need assistance for the calculation of assets that will be included and stuff like that, to be according to the Sharia, not to be rejected by the court, whether to go to the assistants inside the court or to go to specific person, lawyers or assistants to give you guidance over the draft. For the will under the Sharia law, you should appoint, when you appoint a trustworthy person, you should appoint a Muslim executor for the will. Even for the will done in a foreign country and you are a Muslim person, you should nominate whether a Muslim center or a Muslim executor for your will to be under Sharia law. And to make sure also I will go back to the foreign again, to some details. Should all present there on the day of the notarization, and having all the original property or ownership and document of the relevant assets to be embedded under this will. So you don't have a copy or something, you need the original to be there, to be present with you. If the assets that you are including in this exist outside Kuwait, you need to make sure to respect all relevant regulation to the state where it is, where it's in a European or American country or whatever. It's you need to have a proof of this property and all relevant regulation you need to be aware of. Can you do a certain specific will under other jurisdiction or not? In that case, we do what we name it dual consultation between two country, two lawyers, to have dual legal consultation. Updating and revoking a will. Updating the will, the will needs to be updated every time, and then needs to be updated regularly by the person. Whether it can be updated at any time as it's his own, and reflect any changes in the assets, any changes or in his circumstances, any birth of a new child, for example. Okay, it should be updated from. And if you want to revoke a will and write a new will, that will not, by writing a new will, that will not automatically cancel the original one. To revoke the original one, you need the written. You need to do it in written, that you are rectifying this or revoking this at all, in all or in part. Okay, it should be by a certain way of a written, not only like خلاص, let's give up of this and write a new will. This will not help. It may comes to a situation called a conflict of wills. Conflict of wills, yani we'll have a many one. How will we execute it? And this wills under the Sharia law, or when it comes, when it's there with different beneficiary, maybe they will be sharing in the 1/3. If many, you named one person and then you change it in the other one, or you change the situation changed, so they will be sharing the 1/3 person. So make sure when you update or you want to have a writing stating that explicitly, not implicitly. It will not, by having a new one, it will not rectify the original one. Cases. There are certain cases where the will becomes void or invalid. When it comes void or invalidity. The validity, as we said before, there is the first condition of it is to be accepted by the beneficiary himself. Otherwise, it will be like rejected or void. The second, in case of stated beneficiaries that he didn't accept it before, and the second one is a specified beneficiaries that he passes away before the person that he made the will for him. If the person that we nominated and he passed away, so the will will be invalid, unless the will already has nominated several beneficiaries, yani to pass from one to another. This is frankly stated to pass it from person to another, but it cannot be a matter of inheritance of someone. No, it's dedicated to a specific person, so it will be for himself only. And if I want to dedicate it to another person or to pass it, should be that written frankly, or updated, as we said before, or updated to the new statement, new circumstances. Also, if we made a will now, and the person did not, and the moment of distribution, the person never exists. We cannot find him. It's very difficult or to find the beneficiary. So in that case, we consider as void, and the shares of it will come redirected to the legitimate heirs again, and redistributed as per their portion and shares. Additionally, if there is any criminal act from the beneficiary against the one who testimonied for him, and is part or accomplice or principal of a crime, or falsify the testimony that leads to be executed for life, the beneficiary, in that case, it will be void, it will be invalid, and we cannot be considered or make it into account, as it contradicts the law of inheritance for sure. Here we comes to the foreign drafting of a will. I know you will have more into details, but here what I want to talk is a foreign drafting. We will be talking how to draft it, and how it will be recognized, legitimated into Kuwait, and come into recognition to Kuwait, along to Kuwait, because you may do it in another court or another jurisdiction. It will be valid there, but it cannot be explicitly valid in Kuwait unless it's recognized. If foreign will can yes be drafted by a person in his home country under his regulation, but if the person is Muslim, it cannot contradict with the Islamic principle of inheritance, unless he will deal as a civil status, not into Muslim status. As a Muslim, you should be notarized and state the law of the foreign jurisdiction, and by the person having assets in Kuwait, stating the weight of the assets should be distributed and bequeathed to the nominated beneficiary by Kuwait, and has imposed a certain framework to be validated in Kuwait, and make sure that to be enforceable here in Kuwait, and authentication. That means that when the person will make his will, if he's willing to under the status of a Muslim person, so he needs to state that as much as we do, in respect of his home country laws, but to specify that he needs to follow the Sharia when it comes to inheritation, and he can specify the percentage given to each one of his heirs, like parents have this amount, the wife has this amount, named into percentage. And also he can make a will on his how to come to burial and funerals and to be under Islamic Sharia, and to name an executor like an Islamic center to handle this execution of this and to make sure to be buried under Islamic regulation and Islamic way of. Otherwise, it will be treated as the home country regulation. If this is not mentioned in the will. Also, if we have this, and in respect of the 1/3, and we have the legitimate percentage written there for heirs and everything, we can come with it and fully once it's apostle registers legalized from the country of origin, by legalization from the court and then notarization and then going to the embassy of Kuwait there, getting all along apostle to the and legalization to the Kuwait, and then come here into translation, recognition by Kuwait court review. This is a long step, but it's due. It's how it will be enforceable in Kuwait is that way. Will not be facing a problem because it's following the Sharia rules. What if the foreign drafting does not respect the Sharia law, and for maybe a non-Muslim person? In that case, it will be, if it's a non-Muslim person and respecting the regulation of another jurisdiction, it will be fully recognizing. Maybe he's giving the full part of his, the full percentage. If non-following of the Sharia Muslim, it can be accepted. But if the person is Muslim and did at his home country, the will on that way that differs than the Sharia law, the Kuwait court reserves the right to rectify it, to have hand over it, to recalculating as a official percentage or legitimate percentage given by the Sharia law to the legitimate heirs or mandatory heirs of the person. So potential adjustment, if it will contradict the Islamic inheritance, is subject to the court decision to adjust its ruling and to get it back to the normal percentage. So here we consider the dual or legal consultation must be there to accumulate both regulation in a way that cannot contradict to be applied in both jurisdiction, or otherwise make two different in each country, for each country asset is existing, to make different will in each country. But if you want to combine it one, or our foreign will to be along recognized, it cannot be against Islamic principle. Unless the person is a fully foreigner, is not Muslim, and also has no Muslim inheritation. Also, when it comes to this, we can consider a mixed assets, because sometimes a person have assets inside Kuwait, have assets outside Kuwait. Each of them has different regulation, different taxation, for example, should be respected, should be fulfilled in both countries, not to have a blockage or to find obstacles into execution of this will. So they need to have also dual legal consultation, to need to be aware of both country regulation regarding this assets, how to handle, and also if the will is done into Kuwait, how to get recognized in the country of origin. And the both side is the same. You need to oppose it, fully recognize, so to be applicable in your home country. Our summary here, we come into while being an optional act to draw the will, upon distribution of your own assets. It's strictly regulated here in Kuwait and regulated in Kuwait in respect of the Sharia principle. That's why have made that frame. Even if your free will, but the free will has its own limitation. Limitation is due to the protection of the normal inheritance rights, and not to get into the already set by our Quran shares dedicated to the official inheritance, and any act that will be shown in your will into like overpassing this limitation, it can be contested, easily contested into court. When it comes to court, yes, we can get right of it, unless we have a lifetime action, like a donation, sale, contract, gift contract. This and also we even these acts there, we can also look onto the possession. If there's you keep it under your full possession all your lifetime, it's not giving to that person, it can be contested. You have all the benefits out of it, and it's not real, it's not that real, it can be contested. So making a will is your free action to do it. Well, but you need to have like a consent from your mandatory heirs on this, not to facing problems later on, and to be under the limit of the Sharia principle.